Hello everybody, welcome to Car Rant. Welcome to the channel. I hope you guys are doing good. I hope you guys are having a good day. I'm John. I'm out here in Ohio. Nick's down in Virginia doing all the crazy builds and all the crazy shows and whatnot. Today, we're going to be diving into Formula One. We're going to be diving into Daniel Ricciardo. One of my favorite drivers in the sport, and someone who I hope does extremely well in the future. Doesn't have a seat currently, and we're going to be talking about Daniel Ricciardo's future in Formula One. Now, if you're new to the sport of Formula One, or if you've just been living under a rock and you still follow the sport and you don't know who Daniel Ricciardo is, he started racing for Toro Rosso in his earlier years in Formula One. You can see Toro Rosso now as AlphaTauri on the current grid. So as again, it's the same exact team, just rebranded. He went on from Toro Rosso, raced on to Red Bull, won multiple races at Red Bull, left that team, went to Renault, did okay at Renault, got a couple of podiums, got a couple of, higher placing finishes, but nothing crazy. We left Renault, went to McLaren, I believe he won one race at McLaren in Monza. That was actually a really fun race to watch, a very exciting race to watch, especially during the time of Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton's rivalry, which we will get into in another episode. What happened to him? Where did he go? What's he doing now? Well, at the end of the 2022 season, he got dropped by McLaren and is now currently racing for Red Bull as a reserve driver, standing behind the drivers of Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez. Now, the big question is, where exactly is Daniel Ricciardo going to end up in the future? Now, there's a lot of talk going around the Formula One news and a lot of podcasts, and you can listen all over the place about how all these teams are, most of these teams are not interested in Daniel Ricciardo. But I see a lot of scenarios where he could end up with some of the current teams on the grid and maybe even future teams on the grid. So, with that being said, I wanted to kind of introduce you guys to my list of the teams that I could see Daniel Ricciardo racing at, from the least likely to the most likely. Now, starting off our list is McLaren. Now, again, we're going from least likely to most likely. I don't see McLaren signing him, considering the fact they just dropped him as a driver. He didn't do well at McLaren. He did win the team's only race while he was there. So that kind of sucks if you really think about it. The team dropped him. They didn't want him anymore. And they just signed Oscar Piastri, who is a young Australian talent, someone who is in a way almost one of those generational talents that McLaren thinks that they can use to start winning some titles. And I don't know if it's playing out the way they want it to, considering he's not really feeling the car all out that well. And to be completely honest, I don't know if it's him or if it's the car, because frankly, Lando Norris has been struggling as well, and he's been with that team for a long time. Going on to number 9, I don't see Aston Martin. I do not see Aston Martin signing him. I don't see why they would need to. With Sebastian Vettel retiring in 2022, the team needed a driver. Instead, they were able to get two-time world champion Fernando Alonso, and I don't see Lance Stroll going, and I don't see Lance Stroll going anywhere because of the fact that his father owns the team. And the team is doing really well with both of those drivers. I'm actually very shocked at how well Lance Stroll is actually doing this year as opposed to current years. Going on to number 8, I don't see Haas. I don't think Haas is going to sign him either. They just signed Nico Hülkenberg, and they have a really consistent driver in Kevin Magnussen. Actually, both of these drivers are extremely consistent. And right now, I don't think the team is looking for a championship-style driver, someone who's really trying to push for championships. I think the team is just trying to get a consistent midfield team, someone that's going to be able to compete at the top of the midfield, and then eventually going into championships. But again, I don't see that happening. Now, at number 7, this is one that I was really struggling with because I didn't know if I wanted to put it at 7 or 6. Honestly, these next two teams could be pretty interchangeable. But I put Alpine at number 7. And the only reason I have them at number 7 is the fact that they just signed Pierre Gasly. They have Esteban Ocon for many more years to come. And the team is a full French team, and I think they take pride in that. 1. 2, Daniel Ricciardo raced for the older brand when it came to, when the Renault team was around before they switched to Alpine. So again, I don't think the team is going to look at that as, well, you weren't loyal to us in Renault. What makes you think that you're going to be loyal to us here at Alpine? But then again, they just signed Pierre Gasly and they have Esteban Ocon, two very young drivers, two very consistent drivers, and they're both race winners. So they definitely are able to hold their own against the rest of the grid. So again, I don't really see Alpine needing or having a need to sign Daniel Ricciardo. Now, the other team that I was struggling with on where do I put them on the list was Alfa Romeo. I was really struggling on, do I put Alfa first and then Alpine, or do I do vice versa? Well, I made that decision, obviously, and Alfa Romeo is going to be sitting at the number 6 slot, and the only reason why I have Alfa Romeo at the number 6 slot is because, very similar reason as to Alpine, they have a very capable driver in Valtteri Bottas, someone who's won races, who's done podiums, and he's raced with one of the greatest drivers to ever exist, who's Lewis Hamilton. Not to mention the fact that they also have a ton of sponsor money, a ton of sponsorships coming in from China with the signing of Chinese driver Guan Yu Zhou. I don't think that they're going to need a reason to sign Daniel Ricciardo. Again, just because you have the veteran in Valtteri Bottas, you have the younger talent in Guan Yu Zhou, someone who's proven himself that he's able to fight up there in the midfield, someone who is really picking up the car, and I don't really see the team having a need to sign another veteran driver when you have Valtteri Bottas. At number 5, I have the team he's currently a reserve driver for. I have Red Bull, and this one was kind of difficult. I was trying to figure out exactly where I was going to try to put Red Bull in this, because he is the reserve driver, so he does have an opportunity to race in that seat, provided Max or Perez was to be sick or out for some reason. With that also being said, Sergio Perez and Max Verstappen are killing it this year, and they killed it last year, they killed it in 21, and they're currently killing it this year. The only way that I could see Daniel Ricciardo even getting close to that Red Bull seat is if Sergio Perez was to start causing Max issues and they needed a second driver that would shut up and listen to the team orders and whatnot and not cause such a problem for Max. And now we're kind of getting into the more than likely to sign him. I have Mercedes. Mercedes has Lewis Hamilton. They have George Russell. So they have two very accomplished drivers in that lineup. But I am seeing that tensions are getting high at Mercedes. I'm seeing that Lewis has been having a lot of problems with the team as of recently. Possibly see an opportunity where he doesn't sign an extension. He might go ahead and sign with another team, but he could also sign that extension. So again, it's really up in the air. I don't see George Russell going anywhere. And so the only reason how I could see Mercedes signing Daniel Ricciardo is in the event Lewis retires or doesn't sign an extension with the team and his contract is up. There is that possibility that still exists, and I think Daniel would be a really good fit at Mercedes in the event Lewis did retire. So, let's see. And at the number 3 slot, I have Ferrari. Only because of the rumors that Charles Leclerc is unhappy with the team, unhappy with the team's performance, and the chances of him possibly even leaving the team and going to Mercedes. I know it's a lot of rumor out there, and a lot of people are asking him about it. I think if he does leave and Ferrari is really desperate for a driver, I think Daniel Ricciardo would be a really good fit there. You have Carlos Sainz. You could even put Carlos Sainz in as your number 1 driver and then have Ricciardo play that second role. But again, I don't really see Leclerc leaving, but the chances of him leaving are there. But there is a lot of fact behind it, especially the fact that he's very unhappy with the car at Ferrari. Now, at number 2, I have Williams. And this is now getting into the territory of this very well could happen, provided scenarios are exactly as they needed to be. You have Alex Albon, who's raced for the team for, I think this is his 2nd year now, racing for the team. And you have rookie Logan Sargent, who is not putting in the pace that car is able to deliver. And the only reason I say that is because Alexander Albon has been able to push that car into Q2, into further qualifying rounds, and Logan Sargent has done absolutely nothing with that car. And I understand it, I understand he's a rookie, he's still getting used to a Formula 1 car. He has had a ton of success in Formula 2, but when you go from Formula 2 to Formula 1, you need time to learn the car. And if the team is impatient, I could totally see them dropping Sargent to a reserve driver role or something along that lines and signing Ricciardo so that they can really get that car up to pace as it needs to be. And at number 1, and I think you guys know where I'm going with this, I have AlphaTauri absolutely, for sure, number 1. And the reason for this is because Nick DeVries is not doing good, none whatsoever this year. And the fact that the team has already brought in Daniel Ricciardo for a seat fitting for this year's car, you can maybe see a mid-season switch with Daniel Ricciardo and Nick DeVries, especially since Nick DeVries does have Formula One experience, but he is considered a rookie because it's his first time full racing seat. But he's won a Formula E championship, and he's raced in multiple races in Formula One. He's participated in multiple race weekends, doing practices, doing quali, whatever. He's been doing all of that, and he's crashing the car. He's not delivering none whatsoever. That's a problem. That's a problem for Red Bull. That's a problem for AlphaTauri. And I think that Christian Horner is not going to take that lightly. And I think he's going to say, listen, Nick DeVries has, he had his chance and he's failing miserably. I would argue he's the worst driver on the grid this year. With that being said, I think Daniel Ricciardo would be a perfect fit for that AlphaTauri seat, especially it gives him the opportunity to show him what he has. It gives him that opportunity to really push that car and really show what that car is capable of. And even better, it gives Yuki Tsunoda a little bit of a fire to do even better, because now you have a driver to actually worry about. So with all that being said, yeah, I think Daniel Ricciardo racing at AlphaTauri is, in my opinion, the most likely thing that's going to happen. And there's a lot of facts and research that back that up. So with that all being said, what do you guys think? Do you think Daniel Ricciardo deserves a second chance racing in Formula One? Do you think Daniel Ricciardo is washed out? Do you think he should just retire? Do you like him? Do you not like him? Let us know in the comments what you guys think of Daniel Ricciardo. With all that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like, comment, subscribe, do all those beautiful things in the comment section. Let us know what you thought of the video. Let us know what you want to see in the future. But with all that being said, I hope you all have a blessed day, and peace.